remember when I was a kid driving with my dad to the supermarket. We got there, the parking lot was jammed full, and he looked at me with a twinkle in his eye and he said, "I'm going to manifest us a parking spot." I didn't know what that meant, but then we drove across the parking lot and lo and behold, there it was, our parking spot that he had manifested by just saying he was going to do it. It was amazing, and I was so excited about this notion of manifestation. When I hit high school, it was during this kind of key juncture in the New Age movement, and everybody was about manifestation, creative visualization, and your thoughts creating reality. And it was a very exciting time because I had this notion that maybe my thoughts themselves were plugged directly into the creative source of all things, and I could make things happen just by thinking about them. But one of the hazards of this way of thinking was that I noticed a lot of the adults around me who'd been steeped in this and hanging out in it for a long time, kind of failing to manifest the things that they were wishing to. Like they were waiting around trying to manifest making a living, or having success in their career, or even having a relationship that worked. And what that looked like to me was a lot of waiting and kind of frustrated failing. The problem here had to do with something called magical thinking. Manifestation, and the notion that you can create things just by thinking about them, is a form of magical thinking. Magical thinking is a stage in child development. Everybody goes through it. It's a natural part of being in the world. It's like when you think that if you're good enough, Santa will bring you toys, or if you get in a car accident, maybe it's your fault because you stole that dollar from your mom that time. You make these connections between things that don't have a causal link, or at least not the one that you think is there. And you believe that your internal private world of thoughts has a direct way of affecting the world around you without you having to take action to create that effect. Magical thinking is natural for kids, and in fact, it's even a stage in cultural evolution. But there's a stage beyond it. And in the stage beyond it, you start to get interested in whether there really is a relationship, whether there's really a correlation between your thoughts and what happens. And you can kind of test to see whether your thoughts are really creating the outcomes that you imagine they're creating. If there's no way for a test like that to fail, then it's magical thinking. Here's what I mean. If you wish for new clients or for more money to come to you, and it doesn't happen, maybe you think, well, it wasn't a problem with the idea of manifestation. The problem is that you didn't wish hard enough, or your mind wasn't clear enough, or it simply wasn't God's will. It's like no matter whether it succeeds or fails, it still justifies your theory. Well, that's a magical kind of theory. And there's a kind of scientific thinking that replaces it, in which there are some conditions in which you recognize that your theory turns out to be false. It's falsifiable. Scientific thinking isn't the end of the line, and there are forms of thinking and cultural evolution that surpass even that. But the importance of it here is the idea that you can't just create things with thoughts. You have thoughts, and then you take action in accordance with those thoughts, and that's what creates the things that you want to create. I mentioned this notion about getting clients because here in the world of new counselors and coaches that I spend a lot of time hanging out in, a form that magical thinking takes is people imagining that if they're just good enough at what they do, clients will just come to them and they'll have a full and successful practice. Or on the other side, and this one is even more dangerous, if you've never been really a counselor or a coach and you're starting out and you don't have much experience and you're not that good at it yet, but you hype yourself up enough, then you'll have a nice, full, successful practice. That it's just saying that it's what you do, that's all that it takes, not actually taking the time to get good at it. Well, both of these are false. You need to take the time to get good at it and to learn about how the world works and how business works and how to get clients. These two things, the hard work that it takes to get the things that you want and understanding how the world works so that you're using the right strategies and techniques and mechanisms to get what you want. Those are the things that are missing around the people that I see talking about manifestation a lot. Manifestation can be a lot of wishing and childish frustration that you're not getting what you want. Often what's required is because you don't know how to get the thing that you're after, you need to ask for help from people who do know how to get that thing. There are people who are successful in places where you're not. And manifestation requires having the desire, having the wish, holding it in your mind, believing in it, and getting help to learn how the world works so that you can bring that thing into being in a way that you couldn't otherwise. Manifestation also means that sometimes it takes a long time to get the things that you want. Sometimes it takes years, years of education, years of building yourself up to the point where you have a capacity that you didn't have before. And those years of hard work are extremely important. People want to skip that step all the time. And they believe that their powers of manifestation can support their skipping of that step. But there is no substitute for hard work. You've got to work at the thing. And the reason why you've got to is because then you get not only the outcome that you want, but a sense of incredible pride in your accomplishment and the development of real capacities that you can make use of in all kinds of areas in your life to get even more things that you want. There's no substitute for hard work. Now, I realize I may sound like kind of a killjoy, like, wait a minute, Steve, the world is magical. Synchronicities happen. When you're in alignment, things just come to you. And I'm not completely unmagical in how I think about the world either. I have really exciting moments when things just fall into alignment, and I think it's because it's something that I've done right, or just because of karma, or because of how clear my mind was that I ran into that person at that time. I think the world is beautiful, and there may be all kinds of things that come to you in that beautiful world without you having to work hard for them. And if they do, good for you. Enjoy the privileges that came to you without you having to earn them, and make the best possible use out of them to do good in the world. And enjoy the abundance that life just provides, that life on human earth holds for everyone without really needing to achieve any particular goals of success. If you can appreciate that, that's part of where real abundance comes from. But the key here is that often when things work well, there are mundane explanations for why they worked well. No magic is required if you look at how things really work. There's no substitute for concrete causal explanations that allow you to understand the mechanisms by which things work so you can repeat them and reproduce them. And there's no substitute for hard work. The moral of this is that if you're thirsty and you want a glass of water, you go to the tap and you fill up the glass, and then you've got yourself a glass of water. Or maybe you ask somebody to bring you a glass of water and you've got a glass of water. If you just hold out your hand, silently wishing for a glass of water, you'll be wishing and waiting for a long time. Maybe forever. Or, if the magic of video is involved, maybe magical thinking will work after all. Enjoy your manifestation, but don't skip the step of figuring out how things work and working for it.